Like it or not like it, social media is essential to the success of your business. And print media's gone. It was expensive and good riddance. I've invited Nick Friend, CEO and founder of Bespoke Media, in today on our latest one-on-one series because Nick is an industry expert on social media. He started using social media over 10 years ago and was in fact the first agent, I believe, in Australia, building him up a bit here, but he needs to be built up, to sell a property on social media. So there are some very basic elements to social media marketing that's most important that you understand, and I'm going to extract those from Nick today. And I'm going to start off, Nick, by asking you a very basic but essential question.
Yep.
Why do agents need to use social media?
Okay, well, number one, thanks for having me on, Paul. I appreciate it. Really good question. And I think when I started doing this 10 years ago, social media was selfies and posting holiday shots and things like that, and it was a social platform. 10 years later, it's become a business. It's the way we connect with our audience without the sale approach, without the emails, without the prospecting calls, because, you know, as we all know, when we put something out there, we want a response from it. It does give us the tools to engage with our audience in a softer way, and it allows us, and it's a very cost-effective way. So, as you would imagine, you know, 10 years ago, print and things like that, that cost a fortune.
Absolutely.
And these days, you know, with the facilities and the abilities that these platforms have, it's really important that agents can utilise these channels and reach more people.
And print was slow and expensive, as you said.
Correct.
Social media is immediate.
And you can change things at the drop of a hat. I mean, as you know, if you put something in the paper and there was a spelling mistake or an open home time was wrong or something like that, you couldn't edit it. These days, at the drop of a hat, you can quickly go in, change a post, change an ad, and it's measurable. You can reach more people. You can change things as you go along and tweak the campaigns. That's
a very good point you've made about being measurable, because as agents, and I've done it myself, you put 10,000 letterbox drops out and then you sit and wait, and am I going to get a response? But you know the responses you get, don't you?
Correct. And it allows you to target different audiences. The capabilities these days to what we had 10 years ago.
Well, tell us the changes over the last 10 years.
Well, back then we didn't have the business pages, we didn't have paid promotions, we didn't have the TikToks and the Instagrams and all that kind of stuff. All I had to rely on was, and this is my personal Facebook page back then, was good quality content. It was putting stuff out that people wanted to know about, not what we think they want to know about. So as all these changes have come through over the past decade, we've got a lot more facilities and the abilities as far as uploading databases, targeting created audiences, really putting content right in front of the people that we want to target, not necessarily to the masses. Now, that's something that we didn't have the ability to do back when I started. So how far these platforms have come is incredible. And obviously, with the introduction to all these new platforms, like there's TikTok, Instagram wasn't around when I started, Snapchat, it's just ridiculous. Like, the power of these platforms is amazing. People are getting tired of being sold to. They're tired of going on to, and I know what I'm like personally, I go onto Facebook to be entertained. I don't go on there to have products rammed down my throat. And when you look at platforms like Facebook, for instance, it's a lot of sponsored content, and I think people are starting to shift away from that. I think we'll see the rise of platforms like TikTok, where they are, you know, TikTok's a great example, for instance. It's new, it's fresh, it's allowing agents now to build a new audience, a different audience, and I think we'll start to see the rise of micro-influencers. Back 10 years ago, people with 10,000 followers used to be an influencer, and you know they'd be invited to events and things like that. But I think nowadays you don't have to have the 10,000 followers that we were taught that, you know, that makes you important, or those metrics count.
Oh, I see.
So I think
not gross numbers, but numbers in specific target markets.
Yeah, 100%. You don't need 10,000 followers to be a success on social. You need 100 of the right people, and you can make it work.
Okay, that's a very good point. Now, he makes a lot of good points. But look, there's so many different social media platforms. Which ones do agents have to be on?
Okay, awesome question. Now, there's a couple of different platforms for a couple of different reasons. Now, I love Facebook and Instagram. They're probably two that work very well for me. And that's because I've uploaded my database and I can create ads and send them out to the masses. So that's basically for the general population, for your marketplace pretty much. But if you're going to look at something, let's say you've got a great investment property that you want to sell, knowing who your audience is on different platforms will really allow you to get the results. For instance, for example, LinkedIn. For me personally, I've got a lot of agents, finance brokers, solicitors on those platforms. So instead of selling the 3-bedroom lock-up garage, built-in robes, it might be something to the effect of 5% return. The place has just been fully renovated. It's a healthy sinking fund, because the people that are looking at that content are finance brokers, and if they see content going out and they've got clients, let's say, who are pre-approved, that property all of a sudden might be of interest to their client. So you're actually helping somebody else get business. So I think knowing who your audience is on different platforms and being able to tailor different ads. The last thing you want to do is go and put the same thing on each platform, because they're different audiences.
So that could be driven by the type of property you're selling as well, obviously.
100%. Yeah, definitely.
So this is quite specific in the way you approach your marketing, and and I can remember back when I was an agent for decades, you just put the ads out in at large, kept your fingers crossed who might turn up. It's far more sophisticated and tailored now, isn't it?
100%.
Sorry. Is that where agents get it wrong with social media? They don't really understand how to tailor that and why they need people like you to help guide them through that. And then there's so many platforms you can help them to decide which platform to use. Correct.
And look, a great question. I think one of the biggest mistakes I see with agents these days is that putting everything on every channel, not realising you've got different audiences. For instance, I see a lot of the receptionist or someone with a lot of spare time in the office. They get lumped with the social media side of it. There's a skill and an art form to this stuff. How I did it back in 2014, 2015 when I sold that property through Facebook was I used the pre-launch strategy, whereas I would speak to my owners as far as before we charge you a fortune to put you on the open market, let me put you out to my digital database, and at that time I had about 10,000 people following me. Let me put you out there first. Now that gives an advantage to the owner as far as, okay, well, let's test the market. And I think that's the biggest key that we're seeing at the moment. But the other thing too, whereas I do see a lot of agents get it wrong, is not knowing legislation, not knowing that what you put out has consequences. And that's where you do see a lot of these cheaper marketing agencies or the receptionist that is doing it within the office may not be up to speed. The one thing that a lot of people don't realise is social media is marketing. It is marketing, and it is actually no difference to the major portals like realestate.com and Domain. If you put something out there, you still have to follow legislation, and I am seeing quite a lot.
So you've got to have your paperwork in place.
Got to have your paperwork in place, yes.
Look, can I just, I think you touched on something really important there when you talked about the receptionist at some offices given that task. Because I think a lot of office principals, and some people viewing today may be feeling that I might be one of those, they don't see it as such an important channel, so they give it to the receptionist or someone that can just get it done. Whereas if it's managed properly by an expert like yourself, they're going to get a lot more value out of this, aren't they?
Correct. And one thing I'd love to say is socials aren't there to produce business for today. It's a long game. It's something, whereas you want to build a pipeline, it's prospecting. If you look at it down the prospecting line, it's not always put something out and I want a return. It's building that trust. It's building that digital brand. So playing the long game, giving out relevant information to your audience. Not everybody cares about our listings and sales. Not everybody cares about what we do on a day-to-day basis. They care about what they care about. And I think the agents that I see do it really well are those that connect with the audience, those who are putting out content that their marketplace wants to know about. And I think that is key.
Well, here's a man who's very passionate about social media. He's got the experience to underpin his advice to agents. And please may I emphasise, this is a very important channel for agents now and into the future. If you're not getting those elements of your marketing and your business promotion and your agent promotion managed professionally, I believe you're making a mistake for yourself. So I would highly recommend Nick to you.
Thanks, Bob.
And he's been wonderful for a lot of our members at One Agency, and we would thoroughly recommend him. And I'd like to thank you very, very much for coming in today. You're a great guy.
Thank you for having me, Paul.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks,
Bye.
mate. Bye.